Gamers, I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons, we are going to be reviewing Venn, published by the Games, and the designers are uncredited. I'd like to say thank you for making this game. Unfortunately, I don't know who you are. If you happen to be one of the designers, let me know down below in the comment section. I'd love to say hello and thank you. Now, with that being said...
If they're allowed to reveal themselves.
Yes, they may not be. So, Julie, take it away. Tell them more about the game itself.
Before I do that, I want to say thank you to the Games for sending us a review copy. Much appreciated. At the same time, I'd like to remind our viewers that though this is a review copy, our opinion will remain our own. So,
our own. I don't know why I did that. Just thought it was it's absurd, and there's a reason to be a little bit absurd.
Okay then. So this game is either competitive or cooperative. It is for 2 or more, as many as you want, making it potentially a party game. Plays in about 20 to 30 minutes and is for ages 10 and above.
All right, now I'm going to go through what you will be doing in Venn, whether you are playing the cooperative game or the competitive game. Then we'll do a quick breakdown as to how the 2 different modes differ. We actually only play the cooperative game because at the 4-player count, we felt that worked best. Playing the game as just like heads up or 2 teams heads up against each other was just something that didn't quite interest us. And we'll talk about that more during our review. The basics of the game is you've got a Venn diagram, 3 different colors. Each circle represents 1 word. The overlapping zones, where it is 2 circles that are overlapping, you can place an absurdist card that will cover 2 of the different words that you're trying to get people to guess, and in the center will cover all 3 words. Well, what words are they trying to guess? Well, you've got the nice list over there next to Julie, and then you've got these cards that will tell you which numbers you're trying to get players to guess. To do that, you are playing these absurdist cards into the Venn diagram as your clues. Now, if you don't like what clue you've given, you may cover up the one that you've previously placed. However, you will not be able to reveal what was below. And that's the basics of the game. It isn't really much more complicated than that. I will be doing a full, just detailed how to play and show you the setup all at once. So you'll see that after our intro. So Julie, since we played the cooperative game together, why don't you tell everyone what the goals are for the cooperative game and how you're going to be playing it?
So basically, you go around through the players. Each player has an opportunity, well, up to 5 players, I can say, has an opportunity to...
Well, there's no maximum. You can keep going. But 5 different players can be the clue giver, yes.
That's what I was getting at. And basically, you have 2 minutes to go through the cards and flip in cards to get a little bit like charades, except that you can't do sounds like or whatever. Basically, they have 2 minutes to come to a consensus on what the words are. Now,
get all 3.
Yeah. Now, on the competitive mode, you're doing this in teams of 2. There is no time limit on that one. It's the first team to yell Venn that they've decided that they have the 3 words, and whether or not they do. And then for them, it's the first team to get, on the competitive, it's the first team to get to 12. On the cooperative, you have 5 rounds to get to 12. Otherwise, the game beats you.
Yes, and that is the reason why we only played the cooperative mode, because the gameplay at its core is very similar. Besides the 2-minute timer, the nice thing about playing competitively is that the game may, could go very quickly, it could go a little bit longer. But one of the things that we felt, and we'll talk about it more in the review, is that at 4 players, it wasn't necessarily going to be the best play experience. And we love our cooperative games, and the idea of a cooperative party game, well, that just got me and Julie both intrigued. So I think we've talked enough about the game. You're going to see the components. You already see them a little bit in front of you, but you see the components and setup in just a moment. But before that, we're going to
grab our drink,
grab our best friend and fellow charade master, clue guesser, I don't know. And we're going to teach you how to play. Now we're going to take a look at the components, the setup, and how to play Venn. So to start with the components, we'll take a look at the rule book. You'll see it's got the list of components, competitive and cooperative play details. When you open up the rule book, you'll see that the competitive play information is on the left side. Some more basic rules that work for both are inside here as well as underneath. And then you've got, I'm trying to close this, it's kind of hard to do when I'm showing it to you. We've got the cooperative play set up here, and then just some more instructions with ending and winning the game when you are playing in the cooperative mode. So this represents a cooperative play setup with 3 circles, only 1 score marker. The words will be the same even if you are doing a competitive mode. The only thing that you're going to change really in terms of the circles is you'll add the second score tracker, and you will have a second Venn diagram set up using the other 3 circles that are included. Now you're going to lay out for the word cards. Now the word cards are double-sided, as you can see, and they're going to represent the words that you're trying to guess in the first round. Here you have the numbers, and I'm going to place this just over here face up, actually. I think, yeah, it's still on camera. I know it's a little bit of an angle, but it works for what I'm trying to do and for me reaching over. So it tells you that you're looking for words 11, 4, and 6. That's what you're trying to get everyone to guess. So the words we're looking at are bird, 4 is purple, and 6 is efficient. Now, in a cooperative game, you'll be using the entire deck, as well as you'll need a timer. They will be set for 2 minutes. In the competitive game, you're going to split this off into 2 roughly equal stacks. Now, how it works is you have the clue giver who cannot talk, has to be silent. They'll be using these absurdist cards to give clues in order to get people to guess the words. And ironically enough, I didn't plan it. I actually got the perfect card right here, so I'll just explain how you're going to place it. You kind of pick just whichever one of these circles you want to relate to a single word. So we'll pick the purple circle to relate to purple, and a card that will relate to just one of them you place in the circle itself. Now, if you've got something that can relate to 2 of them, so in this case, we've got bird, purple, and efficient. So if we can find something that can relate to both, well, there's another purple card. So, and here's actually another purple card, so that's pretty cool. We actually have some stuff that we can try to get people to relate to. Now, I can take a chance here, and roller skating is a little bit more efficient than walking per se, so I could throw this in here saying, hey, this color relates to this word, but also relates to the other word over there. So we can try to place something for efficient. If we got the purple drum, if you want to really tell everyone, hey, look, it's purple, you just cover up the existing card and you place your next one. So after that, we're looking for purple, efficient, and bird. So you're going to be going through this stuff. Here we go. We've got a bird, so we can put that over here. Even though there's some purple in it, we'll want that. Now, finding something that's efficient, perhaps, you think machines are efficient, you can put that there. And you're going to be going so on and so forth. Here you're going like another machine. And you're going to try to make sure that you don't send people off in the wrong direction. Now, something that could apply, and I'm just using this because it's got some purple in there, to all words, you place that right in the center, and that's telling you like, hey, this card works for all 3. And that's really how it works. You don't have to use the other areas of the Venn diagram, but you're going to want to use them, especially in the competitive game, because you only have half a stack of cards, so less options, so that changes things up just a little bit. Now, what'll happen in the cooperative game mode is once the timer goes, people make their guesses, and that's it. No more giving clues. You're going to score your points, and you have to get the 12 points in 5 rounds, or else you will lose the game. In the competitive mode, the first to 12 will win. And how it works is that once, let's say after this, you're all ready to guess, you're good to go, you will yell Venn. That then stops the round. You'll make your guesses. The other team will then make their guesses, and you'll be scoring your points, so on and so forth. The first to 12 points will then win the game. So there you have it. You've seen the components. I've taught you a little bit how to play the game. Now we'll be coming back at you with our review of the game. So, Julie, what did you think of Venn? And you gave me a couple of odd looks when this game came into the house, and I said we had to play
I have to admit that the game ended up on the game table downstairs. I walked by and I said, what the heck is Venn? And I'm not doing math. And Jason said, it's not math, it's a party game. And I said, uh-huh. And then when Jason started explaining it and pulled out the cards, I'm like, yeah, it could be. And then it made me think a little bit about Mysterium, but it's not at all like Mysterium.
No, besides the fact that you're using the cards to give clues, and the cards don't necessarily have anything to do with the clues you're trying to give, there's not much comparison.
So it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I guess my brain works like what? I mean, let's be honest. We played with my parents while we were on vacation, so my parents understood my brain, and you somewhat understand how my brain works. So I was pretty good.
Hey, I got one right away, and then your parents sent me all spinning in the wrong direction. The only time I really struggled was when I put down 10 orange cards, and you guys were like, "You were trying to tell us orange." I was like, "That's the only thing that was consistent."
Well, and I guessed it at the end.
You did, because you're finally like, "Why did you throw down so many cards?"
I'm like, wait a second, they were all orange. Yes, Jason's brain and my brain don't work the same way. You've probably already guessed this if you've been watching the channel. If you haven't,
especially if you saw our God tier review, definitely don't work the same way.
Yeah, no. If you've been watching us for a while, this is not a surprising comment to you. But in any case, you know what? There's a lot of good things going for this. First of all, it's fun. It's fast paced. It reminds me a little bit of like the chaotic 5-minute dungeon. You're just like, you have to slap down cards. It has a little bit of frustration with the time limit.
When you're playing cooperatively?
Because I was going through the cards and I was not finding anything. I can't even remember what the word I was looking for, but I couldn't. Oh, yes. It was something pointy. Could not find anything pointy in any of the cards. The other two had been guessed. They were fairly certain they had guessed correctly, and I didn't want to put anything new on top of them to make them think like, oh, we got that wrong, let's try again. And that's one of the fun things that I liked about this, because you're kind of getting feedback. Mm-hmm. I mean, if the players that are playing with you are playing properly, they're guessing amongst themselves, and you can see maybe that you've been a little bit blindsided or
or you missed something in a card, like playing something that has a square in it and then not realizing that square is one of the words, then playing another thing that has a square in it, and people are like, well, that's definitely square, and you're like, oh man, I just sent them in the wrong direction.
Yeah, so that's happened, and then you have to scramble and give new direction to bring it back to where it was. Sometimes the players have it, Jason alluded to it, it happened the other way around as well. The players guess it, but then somebody else takes them off on a tangent, and they're like, oh yeah, you're right, it's probably that, and you're like, no, you had it right, now I have to give you more cards again. So it's not like you have time to go shuffling back and finding another card. You just have to make do with what you have. So one thing
I want to bring up, sorry, just before we continue on, is we played this only cooperatively, as we mentioned in the intro. The timer is your pressure limit when it comes to playing cooperatively. Your pressure limit, and where you're going to struggle in a competitive game, is the fact that the deck is split in half. So you do not have access to all of the cards. So eventually you may just be like, I got nothing. Just go for it, because you could run through your entire deck of cards.
Well, and we had to do that once because there was, one of the players got nothing down for that third word, and basically we had to look at the words and be like, okay, we guessed it, and we guessed it right. So, that's part of the fun as well. So I like it because of the fast-paced nature of it. It doesn't take a lot of, mind power, in the sense that, you're not thinking 17 stages ahead, in a strategy game. You have 2 minutes, you're not breaking your head trying to do it. And you know what? If we don't win, we don't win. And it was funny because we played several times, and then we're like, oh, it didn't not everybody got to play another time. Let's just play one more time. Oh, let's just play one more time. Oh, let's just play one. And that, to me, is a mark of a great game.
I'd say the biggest negative about playing this game cooperatively is that you know when you're going to lose, because you can really follow the pacing as to what's going on. As the game plays in 5 rounds, and you need a total of 12 points, and the maximum amount of points you can get per round is 3, you really need to make sure that you're getting at least 2 every round, just about. And if you're not getting 3, if you miss, everything on one round, then you're right off behind. Now, doesn't really affect the game. You can basically say, we sucked, we lost, just reset, restart, and keep going from there. But it's a little disappointing, the fact that your defeat is so clear in front of you.
Agreed.
That's the really only negative I have with in terms of playing it cooperatively. Now, I think we need to dive in on player count, and then I'll give my thoughts on the game and the experience that I had playing it with your parents as well. It was good. I enjoyed it. What do you think about playing this at the higher player counts?
I think it could add to the chaos and the fun. I mean, I think when you have less players playing it, I think how can I say? I think there's a maximum when you want to play it cooperatively because it can get too chaotic, personally. Mm-hmm. I think if you have, 10 people, you probably want to split in 2 teams of 5. That's my opinion. But we haven't tried it, so I wouldn't know. I think I would think it would add a little bit of fun and chaos. At the lower player count, one person who's more, how can I say, louder, more bossy, I was going to say.
Just use whatever.
could end up guiding or influencing
alpha gamer.
Yes, there you go. Could negatively impact the game. That's all I'm going to say.
The one thing I would say is I like the idea of this game cooperatively, as Julie says, at probably around the 5 to 6 player count. I think at that point you might be starting to top what you can actually play. Now, it can be for more players, so play it up to the maximum amount that you want. At higher player counts, I definitely look at splitting it up and playing competitively. The way the game plays and the limitations with your cards, I think, will be a lot of fun, and will make it so that you might think you've got all the words, or the time just kind of runs out because someone's gone through their whole deck and they got nothing else to offer you, so you're going to have to try to take a guess. I would say that the game can be played at lower counts, such as 2 players, but I think it's going to be a particular type of person that would want to play it at that lower player count. It is definitely playable. It's something that we've not done. It's something that neither of us really have an interest in doing. I'd say that the best experience for this game is going to probably start at 4 players and up.
I was going to say at 3 players. It's
playable at 3, but I don't know if it's going to be as fun.
As you said, I agree with you. I don't think that at 2 players it's not our style of game. We would not have fun. I think at 3 it's starting to be fun because you have 2 people guessing.
No, I agreed. I think at 3 it starts to get good. I think at 4 and up is when it's starting to shine. Now, for competitively, I think you really got to have a minimum 6 players for a competitive game. You can have oddly, 3 players, 4 players. You don't have to have balanced teams if you don't want either. Just depends if someone's really good at guessing. Maybe you split up that couple that, just live in each other's heads at that point.
Scary.
So I think we've talked enough about Venn. Julie, what is your score for this game?
Okay, so I'm going to say that I'm going to base my score on what it is, the game, and how much fun I had playing it, which is what I normally do. So this, as a party game, a fun, fast-paced, and I'm reading behind cooperative game, I felt bad. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what it says there. Not to steal their words. I think it succeeded exactly what it wanted to do, and I had a lot of fun. So I'm going to give it, for this and for what it is, an 8.5.
Wow, I think you're actually giving this a higher score than I did. You talked definitely more about it. I'll share a little bit more of my thoughts right now. I'm going to be giving this a score of 7.5. Well, I do enjoy the game, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I think that just maybe it's probably the way the brain works. I could see where players can get frustrated with the cards and some of the words. I don't necessarily think that the words that you have there on the cards are as well curated as they could be to go with some of the absurdist cards. That can be part of the fun. That can also be part of the frustrations. And that's just going to some of the things that we experience when people just aren't quite catching what you're trying to do. I do think that in a competitive environment that would shine through a little bit more and be more fun. But as a cooperative game, I do see those little pain points and frustrations. That being said, the components are good. The cards are all good quality, good enough for what you're doing. Even if things get a little bit roughed up over time, they're not the kind of things you need to sleeve. I really like the quality of these Venn diagram circles, and I appreciate the fact that the game is very quick to set up. You basically throw the diagram together, shuffle this deck. If you haven't played for a while, there's no real need to shuffle. You just want to do it, just to make sure things are mixed up. And then you're off to the races and you're playing the game. I also really enjoy party games that can be played and taken down and set up quickly, because if you're having a party, you don't necessarily want to sit around and play a game for hours on end. You want to have maybe this game come to the table, maybe you want to grab a love letter, maybe you want to grab something else. This also is a game that works very well for the start of a game, that if people are running late, well, you can just slap it down on the table, see how far you can get, because it's not going to be that long. So, not my favorite, but I really like what it does, and I think it executes well. I would have just liked to see a few things that were just a little bit more balanced. Also, I think maybe part of the frustration I have is the fact that these cards are dual-sided. And when you're on a timer, flipping doesn't seem like it'd be that big of a deal. It is a really big deal. So I don't know if we need to have double the amount of cards, if there's another way of doing it, but I would just like an easier way to go through things.
I think that's part of the challenge.
Could be, but, that's just my thoughts on it. So we look at this a little differently. But it is a party game, and the consensus that we had, we mentioned it after we played this, we need more party games, stuff that's fun for the holidays, that works well, that has high player counts. This one isn't going anywhere, it's definitely staying in the collection.
Agreed.
All right, on that note, we're going to remind you to...
Well, no, first we're going to remind you to like, comment, subscribe.
That's what I said.
See, our minds work differently. And hit the bell to be notified when we have new content for you.
And take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see some pictures of Julie and I playing Venn, there'll be plenty on those feeds. Also down there's a link to multizone.ca, a great Canadian game store. Click that link, you'll get 10% off your next purchase. So it's a great way to support us if you're looking for Venn, anything by the op. They've got pretty much most of the stuff. You should make sure to check them out. I think you can even pre-order some of the upcoming stuff, so make sure you do that and save yourself some money when you're doing it. So, and then popping up in front of us are going to be links to some of our previously released videos. In front of me will be our most recent release. In front of Julie will be, pick another game from the op.
Your dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice. It'll be something random. I don't know yet. I'll figure it out when I'm putting this all together. And on that note, we're now going to
grab our drink,
grab our best friend. I'm going to keep playing games.
I'm sure this one will come up again.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Probably sometime around Christmas or Thanksgiving.